Imagine this: a crisp autumn afternoon, the sound of cheers echoing across a soccer field as parents watch their kids play with boundless energy. It's supposed to be a day filled with joy and laughter, but for one family, it became the beginning of a nightmare that would stretch over 4 agonizing years. A young boy vanishes without a trace during what should have been an ordinary youth soccer game in a small Canadian town. His disappearance leaves behind shattered lives, unanswered questions, and a void no amount of time can fill. But just when hope seems lost, a single clue, hidden in plain sight, a crumpled receipt found in his coach's locker, reignites the search for answers. What happens next will leave you questioning everything about trust, betrayal, and the darkness lurking beneath familiar faces. This story begins with Reynold Mercer, a devoted father and soccer coach who has spent every waking moment since his son Aiden's disappearance searching for him. 4 years ago, on that fateful day, 10-year-old Aiden simply disappeared after a tournament victory. The community rallied around the Mercers, plastering missing posters across towns and organizing search parties. But all leads eventually dried up. For Reynold and his wife Sarah, life became a blur of grief and relentless determination to find their son. Every game they coached afterward was bittersweet, a reminder of both their love for soccer and the gaping hole left by Aiden's absence. And yet, despite the pain, they never gave up hope. Until now, that is, when fate intervenes in the most unexpected way. The setting shifts back to the present day, where we meet Reynold once again at the Riverview Youth Athletics Complex. He's coaching a new group of boys, trying to channel his anguish into something positive. The team has just won a local tournament, and the air is electric with excitement. As Reynold celebrates with the players, he receives a call from Sarah. Her voice trembles with fragile hope. There's been a potential sighting of Aiden in another town called Cedar Ridge. This news sends shockwaves through Reynold, pulling him away from the celebration and straight to the police station. However, before leaving, he makes a seemingly mundane decision to grab some cash from the team locker to pay the referee. Little does he know, this simple act will unravel a web of secrets far darker than anything he could have imagined. Inside the locker, among the usual clutter of jerseys and equipment, Reynold finds a receipt tucked inside Coach Derek Maddox's jacket. At first glance, it seems insignificant, but as he scans the items listed, strawberry pinwheel candies, a level 5 graph puzzle book, child-sized thermal blankets, a chill runs down his spine. These are things Aiden loved, things only someone close to him would know. Why would Derek, a man with no children of his own, buy these specific items? The discovery plants a seed of doubt in Reynold's mind, gnawing at him even as he races to the police station to learn more about the alleged sighting in Cedar Ridge. Could this be mere coincidence, or is there something much more sinister at play? As the pieces slowly come together, we're introduced to Derek Maddox, the assistant coach, whose quiet demeanor masks a deeply unsettling truth. On the surface, Derek appears to be a disciplined professional, albeit one with a stricter approach to coaching than Reynold's nurturing style. Yet, beneath this facade lies a man consumed by resentment and envy. Over the years, Derek grew increasingly bitter, feeling overshadowed by Reynold's popularity and success. To him, Reynold represented everything he wasn't: beloved by the kids, admired by parents, and celebrated for his passion. This simmering jealousy eventually twisted into something far more dangerous, culminating in a chilling plan to destroy Reynolds' perfect life by taking away what mattered most: his son. Meanwhile, the tension builds as Reynold grapples with conflicting emotions. On one hand, there's the fragile hope sparked by the potential lead in Cedar Ridge, where grainy CCTV footage shows a boy resembling Aiden walking with a man into a general store. On the other hand, there's the growing suspicion, fueled by the mysterious receipt and Derek's odd behavior. When Reynolds spots Derek's car parked outside Rosie's diner later that evening, curiosity gets the better of him. Instead of finding the coach with the team celebrating their win, he discovers Derek alone, carrying takeout bags and milkshakes meant for multiple people. The discrepancy raises red flags, especially when combined with the deflated tire on Derek's car and the old hoodie tucked away in his trunk, one that eerily resembles one Aiden used to wear. Reynolds' unease reaches a breaking point when he follows Derek home to ensure he arrives safely, despite the hazardous weather. As they pull into Derek's secluded property, surrounded by dense forest and decaying structures, an ominous feeling settles over Reynolds. Then, as he prepares to leave, he notices something that stops him cold. A tiny blinking red light coming from a metal storage unit near the barn. The pattern is unmistakable. Morse code. Someone inside is sending a desperate message. "I'm hungry." In that instant, Reynolds' world tilts. Everything, the receipt, the hoodie, the food deliveries, the isolated property, clicks into place. With his heart pounding, he calls the police, knowing that whatever lies inside that storage unit could change everything. But here's the thing. While the authorities rush to investigate, countless questions remain unanswered. Who sent the Morse code signal? Is it truly Aiden? Or has Derek's twisted plan ensnared someone else? And perhaps most hauntingly, how did Derek manage to keep such a monstrous secret hidden for so long? As officers prepare to confront Derek and uncover the truth, Reynolds stands frozen, torn between fear and hope. The weight of 4 long years presses down on him, each second stretching endlessly until the moment of revelation. What they find inside that storage unit will not only answer these questions, but also expose the full extent of Derek's depravity and the strength of a boy who refused to give up, even in the darkest of places. Stay tuned for the next part of this gripping story, where we delve deeper into the harrowing events that unfold as the police raid Derek's property. Will they finally bring justice to those who've suffered? Can Aiden reclaim the life stolen from him? And what other secrets lie buried beneath the surface of this quiet, unsuspecting town? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. We'll see you soon. Reynolds' mind raced as he processed everything Officer Miller had shared. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, but each revelation brought with it a fresh wave of horror. Derek Maddox wasn't just a resentful colleague. He was a predator who had meticulously planned his revenge over years. The betrayal cut deep. This man had been part of their lives, trusted by parents and kids alike. He had attended team dinners, posed for group photos, and even joked around at post-game celebrations. Yet beneath that polished exterior lay a chilling darkness that Reynolds could scarcely comprehend. As they sat in the hospital waiting room, Sarah clutched Reynolds' hand tightly, her knuckles white. "How did we miss it?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "All those times he came to our house. All those games where he stood right beside you. How could we not see what he was capable of?" Reynolds didn't have an answer. Guilt weighed heavily on him, gnawing at his insides. Had there been signs? Moments when Derek's behavior seemed off. Looking back now, memories surfaced. Derek's insistence on taking charge during chaotic events. His frequent side comments about how Aiden was such a good boy, almost too perfect. At the time, Reynolds had dismissed them as harmless quirks, or professional pride, but now they felt like glaring red flags he had failed to notice. The detectives continued their work, interviewing more players and gathering evidence from Derek's property. Each new detail painted a clearer picture of the nightmare Aiden had endured. The underground bunker wasn't just a prison. It was a carefully constructed illusion, designed to keep Aiden isolated and compliant. Derek had manipulated him into believing his family was dead, convincing him that the outside world was unsafe. Toys, books, and small comforts, like thermal blankets, were used as tools of control, rewards for obedience. It was psychological warfare, disguised as kindness, leaving scars far deeper than any physical wound. Meanwhile, word spread through the close-knit soccer community like wildfire. Parents began questioning why they hadn't noticed anything strange. Kids, once eager to share stories of victories on the field, now hesitated, recalling moments when Coach Derek's sternness crossed into discomfort. Several boys came forward with allegations of inappropriate behavior, lingering touches during fitness checks, invasive questions about their personal lives, and subtle manipulations that left them feeling uneasy without fully understanding why. These confessions added another layer of complexity to the investigation, turning what started as a missing child case into something much larger. A reckoning for years of unchecked abuse. Back at the hospital, Aiden slowly began opening up to his parents. His voice was soft, hesitant, as if testing whether it was safe to speak. He described the bunker, a cramped space filled with supplies, ventilation tubes, and makeshift furniture. There were no windows, only artificial light that Derek controlled. Time blurred together down there, marked only by meals, exercise routines, and occasional trips upstairs, disguised under layers of clothing. Aiden spoke of these outings with a mix of fear and longing. They were rare glimpses of freedom, but they came with strict rules. Stay silent, follow instructions, and never try to escape. Breaking the rules meant going hungry or being locked in the bunker for days without human contact. For Reynold and Sarah, hearing their son recount these experiences was unbearable. Every word felt like a knife, twisting deeper into their hearts. Yet amidst the pain, there were glimmers of hope. Aiden's resilience shone through, despite everything he'd endured. When asked what he missed most, he didn't hesitate. Playing soccer. Those two words carried so much weight, symbolizing not just a game, but a connection to normalcy, joy, and a life stolen from him. Reynold promised himself, then and there, that he would do whatever it took to help Aiden reclaim that life. As the hours turned into days, the investigation intensified. Police uncovered disturbing details about Derek's past, including previous complaints from other youth organizations where he had briefly coached. None of these claims had ever been pursued thoroughly. Dismissed as misunderstandings or isolated incidents, now they formed a damning pattern, one that should have raised alarms long before Aiden disappeared. This realization fueled public outrage, prompting calls for stricter oversight and accountability within youth sports programs. Tension reached its peak when forensic teams finally completed their sweep of Derek's property. Hidden files on his computer revealed meticulous records of Aiden's captivity, photos documenting his appearance, notes detailing his daily routines, and chilling entries describing experiments aimed at breaking his spirit. Among these documents was a draft email addressed to Reynold, written months after Aiden's abduction. In it, Derek taunted Reynold, accusing him of failing as both a coach and a father. The message was never sent, but its existence confirmed the depth of Derek's hatred and obsession. With this mounting evidence, Authorities moved swiftly to ensure justice. Derek faced multiple charges, including kidnapping, child endangerment, and sexual assault. The prosecutor vowed to pursue the maximum penalty, emphasizing the need to protect children from predators hiding in plain sight. Meanwhile, support poured in from the community. Fundraisers were organized to cover Aiden's medical expenses, and counselors volunteered their services to help him and others affected by Derek's actions heal. But even as the legal process unfolded, unanswered, questions lingered. What drove Derek to such extremes? Was it jealousy alone, or was there something darker lurking within him? And perhaps most hauntingly, how close had others come to uncovering the truth? Before it was too late, these uncertainties kept everyone on edge, fueling speculation and debate across Riverview Hollow. The climax approached rapidly, culminating in a pivotal courtroom scene where Derek's fate would be decided. As witnesses prepared to testify and evidence was presented, the town braced itself for closure. For Reynold and Sarah, the trial represented more than just justice. It was a chance to confront the man who had shattered their lives and stolen 4 precious years from their son. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they also understood that facing Derek head-on was essential for true healing. In the quiet moments leading up to the trial, Reynold often found himself reflecting on the journey that brought them here. From the devastating loss of Aiden to the faint glimmer of hope sparked by the receipt and Morse code signal, every step had been fraught with uncertainty. Now, standing on the brink of resolution, he realized that while the nightmare might soon end, the scars it left behind would take much longer to fade. Still, as he watched Aiden laugh softly while flipping through a puzzle book in his hospital bed, Reynold allowed himself a moment of cautious optimism. No matter what happened next, they had survived. Together, they would rebuild, and maybe, just maybe, find a way back to happiness. Stay tuned for the next chapter of this harrowing story, where we delve into the courtroom drama and witness the final showdown between Reynold Mercer and Derek Maddox. Will justice prevail? Can Aiden and his family truly move forward after everything they've endured? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. We'll see you soon. The courtroom was packed, every seat occupied by parents, players, and members of the Riverview Hollow community. The air was thick with tension as Derek Maddox sat stoically at the defense table, his face a mask of defiance despite the overwhelming evidence against him. Reynold and Sarah sat in the front row, their hands clasped tightly together, while Aiden, still frail but visibly stronger than when he was first found, remained at home under the care of a trusted family friend. He wasn't ready to face Derek, not yet, but his presence loomed large over the proceedings. Everyone knew this trial was about more than justice for one child. It was about accountability, truth, and ensuring no other family would endure what the Mercers had suffered. As the prosecution presented its case, the details of Derek's crimes unfolded in chilling clarity. Forensic experts testified about the underground bunker, describing how Derek had meticulously soundproofed and insulated the space to prevent detection. Photos of the cramped chamber were shown on screens throughout the courtroom, eliciting gasps from the audience. Officers recounted finding hidden files on Derek's computer, meticulous records documenting Aiden's captivity, including notes on his behavior, physical condition, and emotional responses. These entries revealed not just cruelty, but a calculated effort to break Aiden's spirit, to make him utterly dependent on Derek. The most harrowing moments came when Aiden's recorded testimony played. His voice trembled as he described the isolation, the fear, and the manipulation. He spoke of the times Derek rewarded him with candy or a new puzzle book, if he followed instructions without question, and punished him by withholding food or locking him in the dark bunker for days when he resisted. "He told me you were dead," Aiden whispered, his words heavy with pain. "He said bad people killed you because you loved soccer too much, that I had to stay hidden to survive." Hearing their son recount these lies broke Reynold and Sarah's hearts all over again, but they held each other close, drawing strength from one another. Then came the testimonies from the boys on Reynold's current team, the ones who had bravely come forward after Aiden's rescue. Their voices wavered as they described inappropriate touches during fitness checks, invasive questions disguised as concern, and subtle manipulations meant to isolate them from their peers. One boy recounted how Derek once scolded him harshly for refusing to run extra laps alone late in the evening, saying, "You'll never make it far if you can't take orders." Another shared how Derek lingered uncomfortably close during drills, offering unnecessary corrections that left the boys feeling uneasy. These accounts painted a horrifying picture of a predator who had exploited his position of trust for years, grooming children long before he abducted Aiden. The turning point came when Officer Miller took the stand. With calm authority, he explained how Derek's resentment toward Reynold had festered into obsession. Emails retrieved from Derek's devices showed increasingly hostile language directed at Reynold, accusing him of being a fraud and stealing the admiration of the team. In one particularly damning draft email, Derek wrote, "You think you're so perfect, Reynold. Let's see how perfect you are when your precious life is torn apart." It was clear now. Derek's actions weren't just about jealousy. They were deliberate acts of vengeance, designed to destroy everything Reynold held dear. When the verdict was finally delivered, guilty on all counts, a collective sigh of relief swept through the courtroom. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she hugged Reynold tightly. For the first time in 4 years, they allowed themselves to believe that justice had been served. Derek would spend the rest of his life behind bars, unable to harm another child. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed the family, but Reynolds stepped forward to address them briefly. "This isn't just our victory," he said, his voice steady, despite the emotion in his eyes. "It's a reminder to everyone to listen, to notice, to act when something feels wrong. No child should have to endure what Aiden did." In the weeks that followed, the Mercer family began the long process of healing. Aiden attended therapy sessions regularly, slowly processing the trauma he'd endured. At first, he struggled to adjust to normal life, flinching at sudden noises and clinging to Reynold whenever strangers approached. But there were glimmers of progress. One day, as Reynold helped him tie his cleats before a casual kickabout in the backyard, Aiden grinned and said, "Dad, I think I'm getting faster." That small moment of joy felt monumental, a step toward reclaiming the childhood stolen from him. Reynold returned to coaching, determined to create a safer environment for young athletes. He worked closely with local authorities to implement stricter background checks and mandatory training on recognizing signs of abuse. Parents became more vigilant, fostering open lines of communication with their kids about boundaries and consent. The soccer community rallied around the Mercers, organizing fundraisers to cover Aiden's medical expenses and counseling. Slowly but surely, the bonds of trust began to heal. Months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, much like the one 4 years prior, Reynolds stood on the sidelines of the Riverview Youth Athletics Complex. This time, however, Aiden was among the players, wearing his red and white team jacket once again. He moved slower than the others, still regaining his strength, but his eyes sparkled with determination. As the whistle blew to signal halftime, Aiden jogged over to Reynold, panting but smiling. "Did you see that pass, Dad?" he asked excitedly. Reynold ruffled his hair, his heart swelling with pride. "I saw it, buddy. You were amazing." For Reynold and Sarah, watching Aiden play again was bittersweet. They couldn't erase the scars of the past, nor could they undo the years lost to Derek's cruelty. But they could focus on the future. The laughter echoing across the field, the camaraderie between teammates, and the simple joy of a boy rediscovering his love for the game. It was a testament to resilience, to hope, and to the power of community, coming together to protect its most vulnerable members. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light over the field, Reynold looked around at the families gathered there. He thought about the lessons they'd all learned, that trust must be earned, that vigilance saves lives, and that even in the darkest times, light can break through. And as Aiden scored his first goal since returning to the field, the cheer that erupted wasn't just for him. It was for every child who deserved to grow up safe, loved, and free.